All right. I think we're up.
Okay.
We're up and running. Hi, everybody. Dallas here. This is
Hi.
Candy Mossett. This looked like you just flicked off the camera. So I want to give an update. I actually got back yesterday, right?
Yes.
I got back yesterday and kind of been kind of just plugging in, getting up to speed. When you come here and then you leave, even if you leave for like 4 days, it feels like you've been gone for weeks because a lot of changes. So I know that folks have questions. I know that there's a lot of people have a lot of questions. So we're gonna try our best to answer it, right? An update. So the main update, as far as the pipeline, is that there is.
Why do I feel so small?
Well, because I'm like, here we go.
Okay, whatever.
All right. So the main update is that there is a work stoppage order that's been in place. So 3 judges, a district court in D.C., have ordered a work stoppage 20 miles on either side. I'll go this way. This is the Missouri. 20 miles on either side of the river until the next step in the appeals process. The tribe's appeal process on the injunction is heard.
Which is
what?
October 2nd.
October 2nd. So the next day, the next key date is October 2nd. The tribe is going to make their argument as far as their appeal. This work stoppage is up until October 2nd, but the judge could order saying, yeah, your appeal is sound, we can move ahead, and I also say that the work stoppage can keep on going. Or it couldn't go that way. The work stoppage could just end right there October 2nd. All that means is that the Dakota Access technically cannot work 20 miles east on either side of the river. Yeah.
But they're still working everywhere else.
But they're still working everywhere else. They're still putting pipeline, trying to finish up South Dakota. They're almost done in South Dakota. They're crossing the Mississippi River, actually in Iowa, and we have front water protectors in Iowa who are defending, and they need help. And I'm going to put a shout out to Science and Environmental Health Network, and a lot of our folks at the Bakken Pipeline Resistance Coalition who have been holding it down. They do need help down there, so if you're down to help Standing Rock, you should also be down to help out our relatives in Iowa.
Yes.
Okay. But the way Dakota Access is defining construction is that, digging in the ground and digging the trench and putting the pipeline in the ground, that's construction. We get that. But if we're preparing the pipeline by lining it up and welding it together, that's not construction.
Right.
And we can do that within those 20 mile barrier. And we have evidence that they're still doing that. So within that 20 mile barrier, they're lining up the pipe and they're welding it together just so that they get ready to put it in the ground. The actions that you've seen this past week are within that 20 mile barrier, right?
One of them was.
One of them was. And so, like, our water protectors are still out in those spaces to help halt construction because there's still workers out there. What else?
Solidarity actions coming up. October 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th.
Is it? Yes.
It's a ceremony and action solidarity call out that we put out to internationally. Folks, October 8th through the 11th can join wherever you are in prayer and also in action to do a number of things, from taking action in your community. We're continuing to target the banks. We're also continuing to target the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And so it's just really important that people stand in solidarity with us. Go to our Facebook page. We'll continue to post stuff there. Yeah,
IEN, also Sacred Stone Camp. Okay, so good conversation about the permits. So the Army Corps of Engineer is one of our main targets here. Army Corps of Engineer is the agency that has the oversight for the pipeline to cross underneath the river, and the Army Corps of Engineer owns the land that's adjacent to the river, and so the Dakota Access needs the permit to go underneath, but also to cross the lands on either side. They need easements. That's what started this whole thing. That's what started the call to action, is when the Corps of Engineers said, you got your permit. And Dakota Access said, hooray, we're going to start crossing, trying to get underneath the river. The thing that most folks don't know, the way the specific permit that they're operating under, is that the Corps at any point has the discretion to say, well, actually, we change our minds. We're gonna take back that permit. At any point, they can say, actually, we change our mind. We can order a full EIS, a full environmental impact statement on the entire pipeline overall. It's a loophole that the Dakota Access has done here. They've basically broken it down to small segments and say, well, we only need to have an environmental assessment on these small portions of the pipeline and not look at it overall, even though this is a 1,200-mile long pipeline. It's a loophole. So at any point, the Corps could say, yeah, you guys are right. We're going to do full EIS and we're going to take back those permits.
So put pressure on the Corps because they can stop this. President Obama could stop this. He could sit around and wait until he leaves office, or he could say, stop this right now. And so
I just got an update from Eagle Claw Young. There's a direct action happening tomorrow at 9 a.m. the Mississippi River, Sandusky, Iowa. So our relatives are doing direct action down in Iowa, trying to stop this from crossing the Mississippi pipeline, or Mississippi River. We also heard that while they were trying to do it initially, a drill bit, a really expensive drill bit, broke. So it's like Mother Earth is fighting back as well, right? You get it? So that continue to pressure this is also why we target, like folks saying, why are you pressuring Obama? Well, the Corps of Engineers is a part of the Obama administration. So not only does Obama have the administration have the ability to pressure and decide and send pressure the Corps of Engineers to act, it's also the individual some of the underlings have the power to actually step up and say, hey, you know, we're gonna actually rescind this permit, or we're gonna take a further action.
So let's not get confused. There was never a permit to go underneath the Missouri River. Dakota Access Energy Transfer Partners started construction knowing that they did not have that permit. They still do not have that permit. And what happened with the Department of the Interior, the Department of Justice, and the Department of the Army was they said, we will now not grant that permit until further assessments are done. They did not state what those further assessments would be. So they never had a permit. To all the shareholders out there, all of the people that bought into this company, you should hold Dakota Access Energy Transfer Partners accountable for starting a project that they never had all the permits for in the first place. Now they tell us that this is 60% done and so we should stop this fight. We're here to tell them that this fight will not stop until Dakota Access is done. This pipeline goes away. It's not going to be rerouted. It's not going to put in somebody else's backyard. We are going to stop this pipeline physically with our bodies, which is why we're staying here on the ground, which is why there's still 1,000 people in camp. We're going to go out there and we're going to continue to put our bodies on the line, not just within the 20-mile corridor, but all the way to where they're still working and still welding. And you may have seen it on the news. We are full out being assaulted here by militarized police, where they're out there with helmets, with big, huge machine guns, with cannons that hurt your ears. We're in prayer. We're literally going out there just as human beings standing in front of these cops. And instead of the cops protecting us, the citizens of this country, they're out there protecting an oil pipeline company. So we can also target them and say, look, hey, not target, but write a letter, a nice letter to the Morton County Sheriff's Department and say, stop protecting Dakota Access and start protecting the citizens of this country. More importantly, stop picking on the Native Americans. We've gone through enough shit from this country, pardon my language, we've gone through enough in this country as natives being here. We're not doing anything out here other than standing in front of a bulldozer or locking down to equipment and praying. In other states, people are literally blowing up equipment and cutting gas lines, and that's not in the news. Instead, in the news is all about the violence, the violent people out here. Come to Standing Rock. if you want to get the true story, and come and stand with us, because we're still going to need people that are willing to put their bodies on the line. We just had 21 people get arrested the other day, and the very next day the headline was how we were violent. But you could see the pictures, you could see the militarized police. So we still need you here, and you need to be inarrestable. We need people that are willing to come out here and join arms and lock forces to stop that, because the only thing that has stopped this pipeline to date has been predominantly women going out and breaking down fences, going out and standing in front of the bulldozers, and doing our own war cry, you know, running out into the field and literally getting in front of these bulldozers, and that is what has stopped it. You may have also heard that there was not a sacred site disturbed up here. An article came out saying that it was not a sacred site. All lies. John Eagle came out with an article today or yesterday. The Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, John Eagle, came out and said this is not true, this is false. The State Historic Preservation Society needs to get down here. They may not know what they were looking at, but we know what our sacred sites were. They were absolutely destroyed when this company willingly, knowingly got the GPS coordinates and came out and destroyed a sacred site. That is absolutely true. So what they're doing to us is genocide. People don't like to hear that word that much, but that's what's happening. That's why 500 nations have gathered here in this moment, and we're not going to go anywhere until this prayerful, peaceful demonstration and this rising up of natives, which was prophesied to happen, does what it was intended to do, which is to keep fossil fuels in the ground. Let us have a just transition into a society that isn't going to have jobs that kills people. We care about all of those workers. We care about those workers more than that company does. At the bottom of the day, all they care about is their money. They don't give a crap about the families, all the toxins they're taking home to their own children. We care. We're here speaking on their behalf, even if they may not know it. And so we need people to continue to stand with us as we move into what we foresee as a new way forward. And as natives, we've never changed our story. We've never changed our narrative. We have said over 500 years, capitalism, colonization does not work. It is not sustainable, and it will end. And I really think that this is the moment in history, the history that we're now making, that all ends. So come and join us.
How do I follow up with that? Clap! Everyone give a clap. Yeah! Woo! You better tap that heart sign right now. She just went off on you. You better tap that heart sign. Do it.
There's a lot going on. I mean, the stuff continues.
Yeah.
We're not done. We're not done. But they're getting nervous. Holy smokes, they're starting to get nervous.
I do know this. So we have like a massive amount of allies who do a lot of media work, and there's a lot of energy, a lot of newspapers and media that cover energy and actually work with a lot of energy industry. The industry's freaking out. This is a moment. They're freaking out like they've never freaked out before, because this is a potential that a pipeline that could carry over like 500,000 barrels of oil per day, that is 60% done, could not get completed because of what we're doing here on the ground.
Right. That's right.
That is freaking them the F out. And that this right here, this what we're seeing right here, this movement is not just about one pipeline.
That's right.
It's about a decisive moment for our society, for us as a people, to decide what's going to happen tomorrow. This is a decisive moment for us to decide that we are going to have a just transition towards a renewable, sustainable world. And that's what this is about, really. This is about us determining the future ahead. And that's why they're freaking out. And that's why all of this energy is putting, like, just being so focused here. But we need all of you to help us in this fight. That's not just here about Standing Rock.
Mic drop.
It's our relatives in Iowa. It's our relatives in South Dakota. It's our relatives in Minnesota fighting against pipelines there. In Illinois, it's about our supporting our relatives in the Bakken oil fields. Our native relatives who have been trying to have developed solutions away from fossil fuel industry. Yeah. It's about supporting our relatives in the Gulf Coast who have been fighting industry down there. Not only extraction, but refinement itself.
That's right.
And so it's about a bigger system here that we're trying to bring up. And we're not afraid to bring it up.
That's right.
And we're asking our leaders, every one of us, help us talk about this. That it's more than just one pipeline. That we're talking about systems change here, and we're talking about system change, not climate change.
And in fact, just the statistic, if this country was serious, if the United States was serious about reducing our emissions, our climate emissions, because we are in climate chaos,